Marine Outfall Directive Retail Today Report.
Welcome to the evening news, starring Jules Garnier, Yann, Grannec, Patrick Benfield, and Andreas, Somaras. A little bit here. You can see my spot. Here, the spot. Cover the spot here. Thank you. Oh, good morning, and welcome to the Maritime Evening News. It's 9 o'clock. My name is Patrick Benfield. Tonight's topic is a struggle between current European legislation and its acceptance amongst member states. But first, let's talk about an interesting conflict between young Richard, Jean-François and Vladimir earlier this week at a cafe bar in central Edinburgh. Reportedly, the youngsters' debate was fired up by unjust allocation of their recently acquired resources. Let's have a look at just what happened through the footage of a recording CCTV camera from inside the cafe.
Whoa, wait! Can we do something about that?
Sure we can.
What was that?
Well, that was the Directive 76/464 EEC.
I don't get it.
But this is the directive regulating limit values and quality objective of discharges of list 1, the dangerous substances.
What does it mean?
I mean that same rules apply to all.
Okay, let's enjoy the mistake.
And that's the way a milkshake spills. Moving on. Marine outfalls continue to cause chaos amongst concerned environmentalists. The UK's struggle to abide to recent European directives has upset local communities, who have seen their promises broken and their voices silenced by the inefficiencies of British bureaucracy. Just how long can our country's shore support the polluting toxin of untreated sewage? Let's go and see just what was said at the Heriot debate earlier this year. Welcome to the 2012 Heriot debate on marine discharges. I am glad to present our UK government representative Paul Milburn, EU Environment Agent Jacques de Villeux, and Friends of the Earth from Marinette, Charles Buckingerd.
Thank you, Alan. So, Mr. Milburn, we have set out a 2000 deadline for treating any significant marine discharge. So I have a question for you. Why have you not respected your obligations at 26 sites across this island?
Well, you see, we believe that your definition of significant marine discharge falls just between the population equivalent of 15,000 and the equivalent of more than 15,000. We are unsure about our obligation, particularly in terms of toxicity monitoring and the service directives.
Are you implying that the UK sewage system goes untreated for lack of clarity in the European Union's legislation?
Yes, of course!
In my opinion, this is a typical trick on the part of the government, designed to confuse and to avoid its legal obligation. Plus, we would like to present this to you as being a spoil tactic that the UK government has intended it to be, as were it not so. The UK government could not have engaged in this obfuscation.
On top of that, Mr. Milburn, if the UK continues to fail in meeting its obligations, the Commission shall take Britain to the European Court of Justice. The EU environmental legislation has already done a lot to improve the state of the environment in the UK and also in Europe. But to be fully effective, it must be fully implemented.
That was a debate from the Scottish University of the Year Heriot, which is currently leading the research on marine wastewater discharges. Let's welcome Senior Lecturer, the magnificent Sir Alan Cuthbertson, who joins us today to understand where exactly the government is lacking progress and what needs doing.
Alan! Alan! Alan!
Oh, finally, please take a seat. Thank you for coming, Your Eminence.
It's a pleasure.
Without further ado, could you please enlighten the British taxpayers with a solution to this current state of stagnation?
See, the solution is very simple. British marine authorities, namely the Environmental Agency, British Waters, UKRHA, UKEOWXQ, RTPI, IC and SIPA, must join their efforts and make agreements on tolerated levels of fecal coliforms, which agree to the EU guidelines and form consortium where to assess the environmental cohesion with due respect to the community that shall benefit from services. Without forgetting the words of Robert A. Grace, that no free coliform is subject to the dimensional analysis in far-field buoyant-dominated plum-like jets. And the work is simple, and policy workers should enjoy their work. As progress gears on, but we mustn't forget we are all professionals, and as such, we must prioritize the details, but we should keep it a friendly and fun process. So to conclude, two main issues march on as they are distinctly ambitious professionals, but let's keep it fun and informal.
Right.
Fun and professional. Friendly but formal.
Right.
Ambitious and serious.
Yep.
And I need a coffee.
Well, thank you very much for your opinion. It's very appreciated. Now, let's take things from a different perspective. 12 years ago, Torben Larsen from the University of Aalborg in Denmark made a bold statement in his peer-reviewed paper on the recent EU legislations. He warned about the dangers of designers focusing too much on the initial dilution parameters and not enough attention to the physical stability of the pipe itself. He warned us about the dangers of storm. And in fact, 2 nights ago, the strong currents ashore of Peterhead ripped apart the disposal unit. 15,000 cubic meters of foul sewage leaked to the surface, creating 5 kilometers of contaminated beaches. Let's hear it from the residents who witnessed the outspread.
Hi Patrick, we're here in the house of Rachel Noble. Rachel has been a victim of the broken house. So Rachel? Excuse me. So, tell me what happened that night.
Oh, Madonna! Le petit Ferruccio, it's me, le Ferruccio, the birthday, it's the birthday of the petit Ferruccio. I had everything, I had everything ready.
Everything?
The meat in the cellar, the cheese in the cellar, the meatballs, the spaghetti, the mamma, oh, la mamma, a little Ferruccio. The shit everywhere. The pipe, out of the pipe, the shit everywhere. Oh, the petit Ferruccio. Oh my god. Oh my god. I have to do everything again. No possible, no possible.
It is obvious. Rachel's house has been submerged by a wave of shit.
As referees would say at their whistle, that's foul. Now let's get down to the point. Back to marine outfalls. Something that is often overlooked is the involvement of all stakeholders. Now stakeholders normally range from clients to users, but it can be tricky to identify the environmental assets that are affected or the indirect users of any good or service. A curious case emerged in Senegal in 1977, when a treatment plant became redundant after the misallocation of labour resources. Planners failed to appropriately assess stakeholder potential and interest in the works. Today, new evidence has emerged as the voice of a young Senegalese engineering student tells us just why it all started to crumble. On the phone from Dakar, Jumaba Bungo Bungo. Hello, Jumaba. Hello, dear viewer. My name is Jumaba Bungo Bungo. I grew up near Dakar. And when they built the marine pipe, they spoke to the people from the government, the people with the money, but nobody came to speak to the university. Here at the campus we have experts in the field of sewage treatment. There are people with PhD, MH, BH, But the people who built the pipe, they do not want to hear from us. So they went forth, they built the treatment works, and just the treatment work did not work. Now the pipe does not work, and the money has been wasted. Thank you, Jamaba. And that's all from us. And let's rock with it before it all crumbles apart.
Join us tomorrow for updates on the United Nations Environmental Programme efforts to control marine effluent discharges in water that go unregulated by governmental policymakers. The coral coast of Fiji gets a complete makeover as pig farm nitrogen waste is trapped through cheap and easy shallow bed composting. And join us on a journey to explore the progress made on cleaning up the Rhine after the 1986 Sandoz chemical plant accident, which colored the river red and hit Switzerland, Germany, France and Holland before flowing into the North Sea.
You've been watching Maritime News.
Blah, blah,
Blah,
blah, blah. Boom, 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 boom. Blah, blah, blah. Boom, 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 boom. Blah, 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 blah,
blah blah blah.